During a recent speech, Donald Trump was heard saying the following about overtime pay and taxes.
I'm also announcing that as part of our additional tax cuts, we will end all taxes on overtime. The people who work overtime are among the hardest working citizens in our country. And for too long, no one in Washington has been looking out for them. And, you know, I went to some economists, great ones, and I said, what do you think? They said, it would be unbelievable. You'll get a whole new workforce by doing that. No taxes on overtime.
Whether you agree with that statement or not, I've got something for you to think about.
Shall we begin?
From the headquarters of the Truth in Broadcasting Network, introducing Truckin City Journal and the El-Rushbo of Truckin News, Bossman.
Howdy-ho, truck lovers, truth seekers from all across the heartland. Glad you're with me. I am Bossman, the CIC of the Truth in Broadcasting Network, broadcasting yet another wonderful spot of news you might not be aware of for your benefit to help make trucking great again. Take a moment, go down below and subscribe and follow me to make trucking great again. You too can be heard as simply as sending an email to Bossman at thatstruckingnews@outlook.com. Thanks for being with me today. We're pulling apart yet another news media outlet article. This one from Landline, where that very quote was pulled out of a recent speech Donald Trump did on overtime pay. Now, a lot of people, both supporters and lawmakers from across the country, are pulling together saying they like the idea and have positive feedback regarding no taxes on overtime pay. But how do you think it affects us truckers? Put down in the comments below your thoughts and continue to follow along with me as I pull apart some real cautionary ideas about overtime for truckers. It's oftentimes a no-brainer. You ask most truck drivers and they're like, anything to make more money, I'm game. Or, it's high time we got paid what we're worth, and the comments continue on and on. I think there's some things we need to consider before we start diving down the rabbit hole of changing our compensatory system as it stands now. Right now, there's something called the Fair Labor and Standards Act. It's nearly 100 years old, albeit it does need some changing and revamping. Put in the comments if you agree with that. A complete overhaul to include the exemption that currently exists prohibiting overtime pay for truckers might be a little bit more than we want. Let's step back and think for a moment why the rule was originally put into place. Back then, the idea was to keep the truckers from working long and endless hours without a break. So now some people are saying, well, it's time to amend that rule and guarantee that truckers get their fair share of overtime. But since then, how have things changed with pay? Well, since then, things have changed to the degree that we're not paid by the hour. Truckers are not an hourly pay. If you're an over-the-road driver, you currently, most likely, get a per mile rate, or you get paid by the load. So if they make a change to the 1938 Fair Labor and Standards Act and start demanding that people are paid for hours worked over 40, 9 times out of 10, it would, in a very limited way, only apply to those of us on the road. If you work for yourself, how do you pay yourself? Do you pay yourself on a 40-hour schedule? Most times not. However you do it, most people don't count on an hourly salary unless you happen to be in the regional or local delivery setup, as it were. If you're a local or regional driver, more chance than not, you're probably going to be affected by this. But if you're over the road, like me, it's not really going to matter too much. Truckers, as a rule, are the backbone of the economy. We work hard. Sure, we're putting out 70, 80, sometimes more hours on a weekly basis. Some less, some more. We do work hard. We'd like some recognition for the work we do. But the question is, if we make changes, what cost comes to it? What could go wrong? What what happens when a change like this is made? The first thing, the cost of labor goes up. Then with that, what do most companies do? They cut costs. While most of us can agree the potential risk is companies cutting costs, what are they gonna do? Hire fewer people. They're gonna hire less people to do the job you currently do, making the demand on your work harder and their pay level less. Standard practice. If you have to pay more to do something, you're going to expect more out of it. Pretty standard. So, when businesses look to cut costs, the first thing they're going to do is hire fewer people, pay more, but then they're also going to look to cut corners in other ways. So we'll open the door even more to automation. I mean, look around. These big tech companies are just itching to perfect and put in all this R&D and get all these automation schedules up and running. More robots, less people. Let's not give them ammunition to make their argument true and us irrelevant. On the surface, everybody thinks that this whole push Donald Trump is mentioned and is currently in this landline argument is a great thing. Oh, it's great. Now just imagine you're getting a paycheck where you're getting more money for the same work you do. But as I mentioned earlier, there's a cost. You could end up with a situation where you're getting actually less than what you started with because of this whole new overtime revolution they're trying to push. So are you really eager to shoot yourself in the foot? Comment down below. I've got a few ways we can also get more money and not make the change we're talking about in this article. Stick around. I'm all for making our time more valuable. I'm all for raising the bar. But maybe it's time to start looking at the whole picture here. Let's consider some real solutions, like putting power back in the hands of us truckers. What if instead of pushing all this stuff for overtime, we instead focused more energy on the importance of getting proper detention pay? That by itself would go a whole lot further to guarantee we get more money for what we currently give away without even thinking about it. As a shipper, for the first 2 hours, you've got 2 hours to load everybody's trailer, and then after that, we're charging you for holding up our drivers. I say get rid of that. I say we're paid for the moment we stop and we go off duty or on duty, however you log it. The moment we're not moving, somebody's paying for it. Comment below if you agree with me. Think about the importance and the benefit behind negotiating better contracts. If you accept a contract where you're giving away free of your time, 2 hours, not sweating it, you're admitting you're not worth as much as someone else who would say no to that. So, everybody across the board, no free time. If we negotiate right and we set the standards to begin with, we'll have less of a negative impact on the pay we receive for the job we do. So while you're on television, YouTube, or whatever social platform you're on, and you're hearing and seeing Donald Trump present this idea of no taxes on overtime, and you're all swooning over the fact that the Republicans are going to change trucking, remember, be careful what you wish for. Once it's done, you can't undo it. Would you rather make more or less? Would you rather have an industry that you know you can improve in, or would you rather go down a rabbit hole that you can't climb out of? If you're on board with making trucking great again, go down below, become a subscriber, like this video, and by all means, don't forget, it's trucks that make the deliveries, but it's you that make the difference. Comment below, tell me you agree. If you don't, tell me why. Whatever you're doing, be careful, be smart, and don't forget, keep it rolling.